Hello Flosstube friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lauren, but I am known as Cross-Stitch Bunny here on YouTube and also over on Instagram. Welcome if you are new. This is my channel all about cross-stitching. If you are a returning subscriber or viewer, then welcome back, and I'm really glad that you've come along to see my latest stitchy update. I am filming this video on the I forgot the date. It's Thursday the 16th of June. My last video I think was on the 2nd of June. I usually try and do them on the last day of the month, but I didn't quite make that in May, so it has been a bit of a shorter interval than usual since my last video by a couple of days, but the chances are I will not be uploading this today as it is a bit later in the afternoon. I doubt that I will get time to edit it, but I'm hoping to have it up at least by the weekend. So it may be a few days later when you actually see this. I will do a really quick life update. So it was my little girl's birthday a couple of days ago. So yeah, that's probably obviously the most exciting thing that has happened to us in June, is that she had her 4th birthday. She was super excited. She was actually in nursery on that Tuesday because that is her one of only 2 days a week that she goes to nursery. So we did still send her in for that, but she took a cake to share with her friends, and we got up quite early in the morning beforehand and opened a few presents and things, and yeah, she had a lovely day. And prior to that, on the Monday and the Sunday, we took her to the safari park. So there's a safari park that isn't too far away from us. It's about a half an hour's drive, give or take, in the car, so it's pretty close. And we decided to get annual passes, so we went on the Sunday before her birthday, bought an annual pass so that we can go as many times in a year as we want to, and the kids had such a good time. We went and took them again on Monday, so we did 2 days back to back at the safari park, which they absolutely loved. And then it is going to be my little girl's actual party tomorrow on Friday. By the time I upload this, that might have already happened. It depends how fast I can edit it, but yes, so lots of excitement has been going on and is still going on surrounding her birthday. It's turned into a bit of a week of celebration really, but you know, why not? She's been loving it. Puppies have also been keeping me really busy. I've actually taken some of them to the vet this morning for all their chips and their checks and things, and they will be starting to leave us from this weekend. So yes, they're not all leaving this weekend. Some are staying a while longer to fit with people's holiday plans and things, so we'll still have some puppies in the house, but quite a lot of them are going to go. There's going to be a lot fewer puppies in the house, so it'll be slightly calmer. Not quite as much cleaning up and rounding up of them to do, so yes, it will be nice to have a little rest. I have noticed when I'm doing my floss tubes that I always seem to forget a couple of things, like even though I try and have some notes and refer to them a little bit, I always seem to miss a couple of things out. So I wanted to kick off today with doing a couple of shout outs rather than leaving them till the end, so that I do not forget. So the first shout out that I would like to do, and a big thank you, is to my viewer Christine. Christine is the first person to ever buy me a coffee on my Ko-fi account. I've never actually mentioned in previous floss tubes that I have a Ko-fi account. I do have one. The link is always in my show notes. But I've never mentioned it or made reference to it, but Christine has obviously spotted the link to it in my show notes and has gone and left me a little donation, which I was like really surprised because it's the first one I've ever had, so I was really excited when that came through, and she left me a lovely little message just saying how much she enjoys my videos. So thank you, Christine, that was so kind of you, and I do really appreciate it. I am hoping to do more giveaways on my channel going forward, and so anything that does come through on that Ko-fi account will really help in terms of like posting those out and things, especially if I'm trying to offer everyone worldwide the chance of entry and not just my UK viewers, because the international postage costs can be expensive. But yes, thank you again, Christine, really appreciate it. And I would also like to give a shout out to Gina stitches. Gina, you may be familiar with, she has a Flosstube channel of her own, which is just Gina Stitches here on YouTube and over on Instagram. Her Instagram username is Gina Stitches 21. I have met Gina in person. Like, we met at the Noban retreat that I attended back in April. She is a lovely lady, like has done so many beautiful things that she has stitched, and she had some beautiful projects that she was working on at the retreat. We also did quite a lot of talking about dogs and other things. Like, I was sat across from Gina at dinner at least one evening, so yeah, that was lovely. And I recently bought a couple of kits from Gina that she was destashing, and she included a little extra bit of stitchy kindness for me in the form of an additional chart, which she then told me was actually like a special chart that was at a retreat. Like, it was a chart that was exclusive to some retreat, I think, that she went on, and she thought I might like to have it. So that was lovely, and I will show the chart to you when I get to haul, but I just wanted to say a big thank you to Gina for giving me that little extra surprise in my package, and it is a lovely chart, so hopefully I will get round to stitching it. So thank you, Gina. To do one more thank you, which is just a big thank you to all of you guys that have shopped in my shop recently. I have had like quite a little flurry of recent orders, like for quite a lot of my fabrics and things. So yes, if that is you, then thank you. You know, it is a very small business, but one that I enjoy running, and I'm really appreciative of all your orders. So thank you very much for that. It is coming up to a year since my shop launched. I think I launched my shop on the 12th of July. So my anniversary is coming up soon, and I'm trying to think of something exciting to do for that, and I do have a few ideas. My hand dyed fabric section is just about ready to go live. Like, there's been a lot of experimenting, a lot of dyeing going on, and I am hoping that maybe I will do something for the 12th of July anniversary that is based around adding those. There will be a new section on the site and maybe some offers on those. So yes, everyone that has shopped with me, thank you for that. Right, with all those thank yous out of the way, and we will start with this stitching. So like I said, it's been, I think, just around 2 weeks since my last Flosstube was filmed. I think on the 2nd of June, pretty sure it was the 2nd of June that I filmed. It's the 16th today, so yeah. It's been exactly 2 weeks since I last filmed, and in that time I have done somewhere around 27, 28 hours of stitching, and that has been split across 5 different WIPs. I'll say 5 WIPs, one was a new start, but 5 projects included in that. So I will start off by showing you my single finish for the month, which is here. So it is my summer signs. You can get a good look at that. So this was my tiny Modernist summer signs. I've been working on this not for too long, but for a fair while. I started this, pretty sure I started this at the retreat. Yeah, I did. I started this at the Noban retreat in April. And I just love the colours on this, like especially those bright oranges that all the borders are made out of, and just all the little emblems, absolutely lovely, like those little seahorses. And my absolute favourite is this last square that I saved for last, and I love the crab on this. So yes, this is my finish, and this is stitched on 18 count like Rustico Ada. Really nice, got like a sandy effect to it, which I say every time I show you this piece. There has been an accidental customization in this. So in this last square that I was working on, the crab is two-toned, as you can see, but I've accidentally reversed the colours on him. So I started stitching this side of the crab first and did it in this lighter shade of the like fluorescent orange, which I think is It's either 3340 or 3341. Those are the two different oranges used in this crab. It's, yeah, 3340 and 3341. And in any case, whichever one this is should have been on that half and vice versa, but I had literally stitched this entire half of the crab before I realised that I had done the colours the wrong way round and didn't think it really mattered which way round they were. I hadn't made a mistake in the actual counting, and yes, I think it still looks great with that accidental customisation, so I'm not too bothered. And yeah, that is my finish for the month. I'm really pleased with it, and it's one WIP ticked off my list, because with all the new starts that I included on my WIPGO board, I included a lot of new starts on my WIPGO. Then I've also just picked up and started other things because I felt like it, and my WIP pile is just growing. If anything, it's getting a little bit too big for me. I would like to have a fewer projects on the go. So yeah, I'm pleased to get that one ticked off. However, like I said, I have had a new start. So I have made a start on this absolutely gorgeous little fairy, and just try and get her as close to the camera as I can, because she truly is incredibly tiny, due to the fact that I am stitching her on 22 count. So yeah, she is very small. She is being stitched all in the Valdini variegated threads. So this is the Norikorba Sunflower Fairy. I downloaded this pattern from Hirschner's, the online shop, and I could not wait to make a start on her. So the Valdinis, I was having a bit of trouble sourcing all of the colours that I needed from any single UK shop, and there was a couple that I just could not seem to find in any UK shop. So I did do a 1, 2, 3 stitch order, and I'd been waiting for it to arrive for a little while. So when it did arrived earlier this month, I was just too excited with those lovely new threads arriving that I just needed to start her. So yeah, I will show you what the actual pattern looks like for this, so you can have a little look if you're not already familiar. I am stitching this on a hand dye. This is a random hand dyed piece of 22 hardanger that I had in my stash. I am honestly not sure what it is, because unfortunately I'd taken it like out of the packaging or the bag. So I'm not sure where it is from, but it is like a very nice mix of pale blue and green. Hopefully the camera is picking that up a little bit, but yes, it's just soft blues and greens, and I just thought that none of the colours that I'm stitching on her blend in with that at all. Like, there's not really, other than the wings, which are metallic and which I think stand out on this absolutely fine. Like, you can see I've made a start on one of her wings there. Other than that, which I think stands out without an issue, there's no other blue in this design. So I just thought that this background was nice, everything would stand out, and I just didn't like sort of the beigey natural background that the model stitch was on like so much. So yes, that is my single new start so far for June. I'm loving her, and I just love how tiny she is. Like, this frame that I've got her in is the number 3 frame from the Nerd Hoop. So if any of you are familiar with these frames, like, that is a number 3 frame, and that is like the entire width of my fabric for stitching her on. It's the 220mm frame, so she's not big at all. Like, and you can see how small she is in the center of that. Like, she's going to be so dainty. She does have beads on her, but all the beads in this design are the like tiny petite seed beads anyway, like rather than the normal seed beads. I hope I've got the name right, but yeah, it's the petite Mill Hill beads, like the really tiny ones. And when I went to the retreat in April, there was that beautiful Midsummer's Fairy that somebody had stitched. It was actually the winning piece. They had stitched that 1/1 on 28 count and just subbed all the beads for the petite beads, and it worked beautifully and it looked great. So I thought, since all the beads on this are already the petite beads, I'm not going to have any problem with doing those on 22 count. So yeah, that is my new start. I love her. Then I've worked on 3 other projects so far this month. I have worked on my autumn Bothy tree. I had not picked this up for quite a while, but it popped up on my WIPGO board with a goal for June of doing 5 hours, which I have done. I did the 5 hours, which has all been concentrated really on adding to the bottom of the tree here. None of this was previously stitched, so I've added the bottom of the trunk. I've added all of this like ground and earth in with the fallen leaves, the squirrels, and I even started to do a little bit of the back stitch down here at the bottom. And I'm hoping if I show you this versus how it looked last time I featured it on my Flosstube, you can see that those 5 hours have made quite a nice difference. Like, that is a good chunk of progress and I'm really pleased with it. This is the Bothy Love Autumn Tree kit. So I'm stitching it with everything that the kit came with, and this is on plain white 14 count Ada, and all the threads included, I believe, are Madeira, just because that is what Bothy use as far as I'm aware. So yes, I'm just using all the kit materials for this one. Next is my Ophelia's Pearl. So I've not put a huge amount of time into this so far this month, but nonetheless I've spent a couple of hours on her. I think I was filling in these ribbons a little bit more. Yeah, as always, she's absolutely beautiful. I'm stitching her on an opalescent 32 count hand dye in shades of blue that I did myself. I'm very happy with how she's looking. Hopefully, if I do a comparison of where she was last time, you might see a little bit of the progress I've made on her, even though it's not huge. Oh, and the back stitch, I forgot about that. Yeah, so I started, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that last time I showed her, I had not started doing any of the back stitch, and I have started adding in her tendrils here. I hope that I'm not completely wrong on that and that it was already there when I add the comparison in. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. I'm pretty sure that that back stitch is new. My next WIP is We Rise by Lifting Others, and I have put quite a chunk of progress into this, which hopefully you can really tell. This is the design number 12 from the Cross Stitch for the Heart book by Emma Congdon, and it is the second piece that I have started from this book, the first one being the finish that I showed you in my last Flosstube. Isn't this just looking beautiful, if I do say so myself? I'm so pleased with the progress on this. I love it. I've really not got too much left to do now. I've done all of the writing other than just here. I need the letter E, but all that writing is finished other than the letter E that I need to add in, and all I need to do is add the remaining animals here, and from memory I believe that that is the little hedgehog here, and then on top of the hedgehog there is like a stork, crane, and then another tiny bird on his beak, and I think a rabbit. But you will be able to see, because I will show you, as well as showing you where I was last time with it, I will also show you what it will look like when it's completely finished. And this is being stitched on a 14 count. like off-white or like extremely pale creamy yellow instead of the, I think it just called for white in the book, that was the suggestion, but I just wanted something that wasn't quite as stark, and on this slightly off-white I just thought it would look nice, and I think it is looking nice. As I mentioned in my last Flosstube, the colour for this purple was listed incorrectly in the book. The code that was given was for a yellow thread. I think off the top of my head it's 3825 that it tells you to stitch these purple areas in, and the purple we don't stitch it in that because they'll end up yellow. So yeah, just another reminder to be careful to double check the colours that you are using if you start stitching from that book yourself. Rachel, who won a copy in my last video, has received it. She did message me, so Rachel, I hope that you are enjoying that. She did send me a message and saying she has been having a flick through and is struggling to decide what to do first, but whichever design you pick from that book is going to be wonderful. I know that so many of you are excited for its release on the 12th of July, and there's really not too long to wait now, so can't wait to see what you all stitch from it. So that's everything that I have actually put stitching into so far this month. However, it is June, so we are in the 6th month of the year, we're right in the middle of the year, and I thought that I was probably due a WIP parade. So I've just shown you the 4 projects that I've worked on in June, as well as my finish, but I have a lovely pile here of all my other WIPs, so I'm just going to go through these quite quickly. But yes, just show you everything in my pile. Now, these are not in any order of when I last worked on them, and just for ease of editing, I am not going to put in pictures of how these looked last time I showed them, because a lot of them I may not have worked on since you last saw them, and I'm just doing a bit of a parade so that you can see all my WIPs in one place. But yes, we're going to go through them fairly quickly. So I might, if I can remember the fabric details off the top of my head and things like that and designers, then I will give them, but if not, some of that information will be missing. But next time I actually feature these pieces as like a WIP update for them having been worked on, then obviously I will include all that and show you where I was last time and what they will look like fully finished. But for today we're just going to fly through them as they are. I hope that makes sense. So this is my whimsical alphabet Sal by Little Room in the Attic. I don't think that I have done anything on this since I last showed you, so this will be exactly the same as you last saw, and I do know what she's being stitched on, and this is being stitched on a 16 count like silver sparkle fabric. So that is the first WIP to show you. Next is my Lizzy Kate. I have forgotten off the top of my head the name of this actual pattern, so that's not very useful, but I started this fairly recently. It was in my Flosstube a couple of videos ago, and yes, it's just a nice sentiment. I think I'm roughly halfway through stitching it. This is the bottom half. Again, I am stitching this on 16 count opalescent, the same as the fabric that my whimsical alphabet Sal is on, but just in a green colour. So yes, this is my this is my Lizzy Kate WIP. Next up is my Cornish Folkies piece, and this is the one that was cord in May for 5 hours of stitching, which I did not get round to doing or achieving. It just didn't happen. But I'm hoping to catch up with that fairly soon because it's not a huge goal. I did start this quite a while ago. Not sure if it's not my oldest WIP, but it is up there with being one of my oldest, we will say. So yes, this is being stitched on a yellowy cream. It is by River Drift House, and it came as a kit, so everything I'm using is from the kit. Yeah, pretty sure that's 14 count. Next up is my turtle, which again you've seen fairly recently, and I would like to thank everyone that gave suggestions for covering the mark. As you may be able to see, I have still not managed to get rid of the mark. You can see it just here on the camera hopefully. So yeah, that is a bit of a shame. I have still not been able to get rid of it. I have tried, but I think that I will just be stitching some bubbles around my turtle. I think that will work quite nicely. So yeah, that is my World of Cross Stitching magazine turtle being stitched onto 18 count, and this is the wave after wave fabric from my own shop, which I love, and I'm glad to finally be stitching on it myself. It is one of my most popular fabrics, but this is the first time I have done one of my own projects on it. And I've put this down for a while. This was a WIPGO call for a new start for 10 hours. I pretty much did the 10 hours and stopped to move on to completing other goals, but then on Instagram, Cross Caroline has started to stitch this. I think she posted like a few days ago that she had started to stitch this, and then I saw like yesterday or the day before she's already stitched like the entire shell. Like she is flying through it. Unbelievable speed. I feel like I want to catch her up, but it's not gonna happen. So yes, that is another WIP. Now this is my oldest WIP, pretty sure. So this is like a love inspired sampler. It's just a collection of different motifs, and then obviously they are all within a border which I've started but not finished. These are ladybirds on leaves. That is my dog barking. I'm really sorry. She's not going to stop. She's not going to stop. I will be back momentarily. Oh, no, she's not going to stop. I'll be back in a minute. I've got to go and see what's wrong. I am back. So what was wrong, like as you'll be aware from my previous videos, I have quite a few dogs and there's always one of them barking for one reason or another, but that was particularly persistent, which is why I went to check. And Cookie, who is obsessed with fetch and frisbees and balls, has been carrying around a ball with her all day, and she's accidentally like pushed it under the fence in the back garden, like into the other bit of the garden, and she couldn't get it, so I had to go and retrieve it for her, but now all is well. So yes, back to WIPs. This is my oldest WIP. It is a love sampler, and off the top of my head, so this was designed I think by Gail Bussey, I'm pretty sure, and it is from a magazine. I'm stitching it on 14 count plain white Ada, and I really need to finish it because this has been on the go for far too long. I started this in 2021, probably fairly close to the, like at least in the first half of 2021 I started this, and yeah, it's not really a difficult stitch, and yeah, I really just need to pick it up and finish it, but there just always seems to be something a bit more exciting to do. I started this fairly soon after my stitching break ended, so when I started to stitch again after having that 5 or 6 year break that I've mentioned previously, this is something that, yeah, I just picked out of an old magazine that I still had and decided to, or did I buy a new mag? I can't remember. Either it was, I still had some magazines stashed that I rediscovered, but I also quite quickly in returning to stitching bought a few bundles and destashes from people that were a mix of things, and some of them included magazines. So yes, I'm not sure whether this was from a magazine that I just already had in my stash from before, or one that I acquired from someone else's destash. But yes, it was started when I hadn't really amassed too much of a new stash to choose from, and from the magazines and stuff that I had to choose from, I really liked it, but yeah, now I just seem to have so many things that are more exciting. I don't know when I will ever finish it, but I'm not giving up. Like, I'm not going to cast it aside and give up on it, but it is languishing somewhat. Right, this is another one that you have seen recently, and I'm really hoping I've got it the right way up. I think I have. This is my Heritage Crafts Seagulls piece. Like I said, I'm not going to put the photos in and stuff because I'm just flying through these as a WIP Parade very quickly, just to show how many WIPs I've got really. But this is my Heritage Seagulls piece called Fish and Chips. So this is one of the seagulls here. This is like a band of sky. This is the start of the chips that they are munching on. Started this fairly recently, so it is in one of my most recent videos. And yes, that is another WIP. Now I know that some people have so many WIPs. Ina, that I met in person, I'd spoken to her on Instagram and been following her on Instagram for quite a long time, but when I met Ina at the Noban retreat back in April, she did say that at one point she'd had over 100 WIPs on the go, and that she'd managed, I think, to get that down, was it to 50? I forget. She substantially reduced her number, but it was at the 100 mark, and like I'm not even quite at 30. Like I think this is 22 that I'm showing you in total, and I still feel like it's too many. Yeah, it's a good job it's not 100, is it? Or this WIP Parade would last for hours, even going through them as quick as I can. So this is my bathtub witch. Now, I started this last year, I think before Halloween, with the intention of finishing it for Halloween, and that didn't happen. I kind of ran out of steam with it. Like I love the design, I love the fabric, which is pretty cool. It's Scully fabric, which is again one of my own prints that I designed. I love the fabric. I love the witch. The problem is that I made a mistake. Somewhere here in this arm I have made a mistake with the counting, and I couldn't figure it out. I've still not figured it out. I've been back and looked over it a couple of times, and I just can't quite figure out what I've done wrong with this arm. And this is quite small because it's on 18 count, so to unpick it is just going to be a pain, and that is why it's kind of just been forgotten about. I've stuck it in the box and just not pulled it out for so long. I want to say that I will try and pull this out and get it finished for this Halloween, but I'm honestly not sure I will. But there we go, I will get round to it at some point. My next one to show you is probably the smallest WIP I am working on, which is my tiny Stitch for Ukraine piece. Last time I showed this to you, I mentioned that I had made a mistake and that I needed to frog and unpick all of this black. And then a couple of you lovely eagle-eyed viewers actually pointed out to me that you didn't think I did need to frog everything, and that literally if I just frog like a couple of the stitches here, that actually the rest of it should still be correct. And I believe at the time when that was mentioned, I did look at it properly at that time and was like, yes, I think you're right. So that is good news, because I initially put this down and stopped working on it because of the issue of needing to frog all this black. It now seems that I will not need to frog as much as I thought. And the main reason that I have not picked this up is just because of the size of it. I don't have any hoop or any frame that is small enough for me to work on this. Like I did have it in a very small hoop, but now needing to get to the edges, a hoop just doesn't work. I would need a square frame, and it's too small for my Nurge squares. And yeah, I was having real problems with my hand. Like I do not enjoy stitching in hand really. It's not something that I do. I don't like it at all. But obviously with things that are small, sometimes you're forced to stitch in hand if you cut your fabric, as I have done here. What I really should have done is just leave this fabric nice and big, then I could have put it in a frame, stitched it and cut the excess off afterwards, but I didn't. Sadly, I just did not think that far ahead when starting it, so I'm forced to stitch on it in hand, and I'm just finding that I'm struggling. My holding hand is really cramping up. I cannot stitch in hand for like more than 20 minutes without my left hand just really hurting. So don't know why I was showing you the back then. You can look at the back if you like. It's I never show my backs, but that is the back of this one. Yes, I wish that I had done it on a bigger piece of fabric and cut it down afterwards. We'll try and remember that for future smalls, because this is just a pain, and I really, you know, there's a lot of meaning behind this stitch. I would have really liked to have finished it by now, but I just cannot do it for more than 20 minutes at a time, and that is kind of putting me off a bit, but I do need to make an effort to finish this one. Next is my tiger. It's not been too long since you've seen this. So this is my Letistitch full coverage tiger piece being stitched on 16 count easy grid. This came as a kit, so it came with everything, and the colours in this are just beautiful. There are so many of them. It does have some areas of confetti, but for the most part there is a decent number of stitches of the same colour in most areas. Like, it's not too bad for confetti. I do love the colours on this one. Next is my other alphabet sampler, so the whimsical alphabet sal that I showed you at the beginning. I am stitching that alphabet for my little girl. And this animal alphabet by, I think this is by Design Works. I'm stitching this one for my little boy. So far I have done A is for alligator, B is for bird. I've started on C for cat. This is being stitched on 14 count white Ada, and again this came as a kit, so it just came with everything in the Design Works kit. I would say that the chart on this is printed pretty small, like the symbols are pretty tiny, and my eyesight is good. Yes, that is a bit of a pain. Like, I do struggle to work on this in the evenings. It's not too bad at the moment because the lighting is really good till quite late, but when I started this it was still winter, I think. I'm pretty sure it was still winter when I started stitching this, or it was very early spring, but it was still dark very early in the day, and I could only work on this in the daytime, because trying to work on it in the evening, you know, even when you're stitching with the best stitching clip-on light that you've got, I just feel that it's always harder on my eyes than stitching in proper natural daylight. And this one, the actual stitching isn't a problem. That's really easy because I'm stitching on 14 count, but the chart is just so tiny to read from. I don't know if all Design Work charts are like that, because I think that might be the first one I've ever done, but yes, a little bit of a pain. Moving on. Next WIP to show you is my Bothy Dictionary of Tea. I have got 5 teapots done. I have not done anything on this since you last saw it, but it has been a while since I've shown it, so just to remind you that I do have this on the go, and there are 4 teapots left to do and the banner across the top. This is on my WIPGO board to finish the last 4 teapots, so when that does crop up and get picked, that will be quite a lot to get done in a month. I may pick this up and have a little go on it. Like, I don't think I'll pick it up in the remaining days of June, but if this does not get called for July, I might pick it up anyway and just try and maybe do one more pot, just so I have slightly less to do when it does get called. This is the discontinued Bothy pattern, so they used to be available as kits. They were discontinued quite some time ago, but I bought this as a digital online download from the Bothy website, and quite a lot of the dictionary patterns, of which they did a whole series, quite a lot of them can be downloaded for you to just kit up yourself. So that is what I did with that one. Next up is my Seasons of Emma Congdon Adaptation. So this is something that might be familiar to you, perhaps. Just try and fold it. This was This was actually 4 patterns by Emma Congdon, released in different issues of Cross Stitcher magazine, and I've basically chosen that I want to stitch them all on this one quite big piece of fabric. And the way that I am going to do that is by doing so 2 seasons to the left and 2 seasons to the right of this dashed line that you can see. I've made a start on that dashed line down the middle, and instead of having the colours of title above every single one, I've just put that at the top, so it just says the classic British colours of, and these are the squares that I have done so far, which I believe are summer squares. And yes, I've got quite a lot left to do on that. I have only done 5 squares and 1 is not complete. So there was a big piece of fluff on the blue then. I don't know if it was there when I showed it to you before, but it's gone now. So yeah, that is the stitching that I've done so far. I think this one is a picnic basket that I'm working on, and yeah, these are definitely the summer squares, just looking at them now. And yeah, I have had this call. Right, and take a deep breath and just stop for a second. Like, filming is not going my way today. Like, if you have still stayed with me to this point, there's another dog barking. Honestly, I feel like giving up and starting this another day, but I am not going to. Like, I have had the worst luck. So just on a run through, my dogs keep barking. They're outside today a lot. Like, we just have the back door open. They can come and go as they want, but because it's such lovely weather, they're choosing to be outside. So they're literally everything they see, a bird, a fly. I can see them because I'm looking out onto the garden. Like, anything that they see, they're just barking at. So I've had dogs barking. I've had the camera overheat when I was in the middle of doing my initial whips. I think I was only on like Ophelia's Pearl or something I was showing you, and the camera started to overheat. So I had to switch it off. It's such a warm day here, like a lot warmer than it usually is. It's 29 degrees here. That's Celsius. I know that some of you in America live in places that get absolutely sweltering, like 29 degrees probably seems like nothing compared to some of the summer weather that you get elsewhere, but for England, like, I am not used to 29 degrees heat, and neither is this camera. So the camera overheated, I had to turn it off, let it cool down. Then I've carried on, and then just in the middle of showing you this Emma Congdon piece, the camera battery died, even though it was fully charged. Like, that's died on me, so I've just had to go and change that. So yes, we will persevere with this WIP Parade and see if I can now get to the end of it with no more technical drama or dog noise. We'll see. But yeah, thanks for sticking with me. As I was saying, this is my Emma Congdon piece. It is 4 pieces that I'm stitching as one, so that is that WIP. Next is my Happy Winter Elephant. This is by a Russian designer, cannot remember who, so I'm not going to try and give you that name just now, but you will have seen this quite a few times on my previous Flosstubes. It is a lot of grey on grey, so it can be a little difficult to see my stitching on the camera. But this is the elephant's trunk and cheek, and hopefully you can see overall that is taking shape. I am stitching this, I'm pretty sure I'm stitching this on 14 count grey. That is that one. That was on my WIPGO twice, and for 5,000 stitches, both goals. One of those I've completed, one I've not. I'm part way through. Next is my Dragon Koi, which was called as a goal for June. I have not picked it up and stitched on it in June because I had already completed the goal ahead of time, but I will show it to you. So this is my Dragon Koi. This is by another Russian designer. I'm probably going to butcher her name, so I'm so sorry, but it's like I can't say her name without it written down in front of me. I just cannot pronounce it. Her Etsy shop was called like Nad Gav, I think, and that store is now gone. I'm not sure if she has her own store, but surname is Gavrilinkova, which is fine. I can pronounce her surname. Her first name, I'm so sorry, I really struggle with. So N. Gavrilenkova. This is designed by. It is absolutely beautiful. This is a dragon in all these lovely shades of orange and yellow, and there are koi fish like swimming around as well. Yeah, it's just beautiful. I started this in autumn of last year, even though it's not an autumn design in terms of being a dragon, which isn't particularly associated with autumn, but the colours I thought were very autumnal, which is why I made a start on this in autumn last year. Yes, I do need to pick this up and work on it at some point because it is a beautiful one to stitch on. I do really love it. And I've also not found the black fabric too difficult to work on at all. I'm doing this on 14 count black, and yeah, that has not been a problem at all, so that's good. Next one to show you is on a rather long and large piece of fabric. Look at that, I cannot even get it all in the camera. Like, it is very, very long, but I've only done this small bit of stitching. So this is a Mirabilia design. It is the baker's wife, and this is her hair, and this is like the feathers in her hair. I'm stitching this on fabric from my own store again. It is like a very subtle shimmer on it, lovely fabric. Yeah, I'll just fold it up so that it is a bit easier to just concentrate on the stitching. So yeah, and there she is again. I've not done a huge amount on her. This is actually the first Mirabilia that I ever started, and last year myself and Cross Stitch Mad Sarah on Instagram, who is also a friend of mine, that we met on Instagram through our shared interest in cross stitching, but she has since then become a friend. Like, I have her on my WhatsApp, we talk to each other all the time. Lovely lady, beautiful stitching, and she's got quite a few heaven and earth designs, like big ones, and then she does lots of other little things as well. So yes, Sarah and I decided last year that we both wanted to do a Mirabilia for the first time, and we were going to stitch them together. She decided to do one of the fancy ladies, like quite a big one, and I decided to start with the Baker's Wife and Duchess of Rouen that are a pair, like they were released like as a duo sort of thing. So my plan, and the reason it's so long, is because I'm going to stitch one here and one below, so they're going to be one above the other. This fabric is probably slightly longer than it needs to be, but I thought if there is a lot left at the bottom, I can just cut that off at the end. But yeah, so that was the first Mirabilia that I started to stitch, and then I decided that really I want to stitch on a big lady, like a big fancy lady, so I started doing Ella instead, who I may as well show you next. She is in my big bag here. I'm just trying to get her out because she's stuck to one of my other frames. We will try, put you down for a minute. So yeah, I kind of put my Baker's Wife to one side so that I could start working on a large fancy Mirabilia lady instead. And this is what I started working on. So this is my other Mirabilia WIP. This is Ella. She's been stitched on a hand dye fabric in kind of greeny grey and fuchsia pink shades that I absolutely love. Yeah, so this is sort of the side of her dress with flowers and working its way up her body here. So yeah, that is Ella the Frog Princess. Next big frame I've got here only has a very small amount of stitching on, or it looks very small, like but I am doing this 1/1 on 25 count. This is my Heaven and Earth design. This is called Eventide, I think. It is a geisha with loads of dolphins kind of jumping out of a jug that she's pouring from. And yes, it doesn't look like a lot of stitching here, but that is actually, you know, quite a good number of hundreds of stitches, but still nowhere near to a first page finish. This is my first Heaven and Earth design that I've worked on. I have found it quite overwhelming. I'm not used to working 1/1 on such a small count. I'm also not used to working on full coverages that are this huge, or like full coverage in general has never really been my thing. Like if you look at all my previous finishes, I'm not a full coverage stitcher. My first foray into full coverage really has been this pattern and the Tiger from Letistitch, which is a much smaller design and a lot more manageable. And now I have since then started my Heritage Crafts Fish and Chips, which again is full coverage. But when I started this one a little while ago now, this was my first ever full coverage, and I did just feel completely overwhelmed that I was stitching and just did not seem to be getting anywhere, and it is still just essentially like a blob in a corner of my fabric. I do still want to do it, and I just think once I start getting further into it, I will be a lot more motivated to continue once I can actually see something. But at the moment, this is just so slow going compared to a lot of my other projects that it is like pretty neglected. It's also made me think that I will probably never attempt something this big again. I don't think that like these huge pieces are what I love doing the most. Some fluff. Maybe I'll change my mind. I don't think I will. Yeah, I don't think I will. I think that this will be like the largest piece that I ever attempt to stitch. I don't think I will ever try anything that big ever again, but I love the colours, I love the design, and if there is one big piece that I'm ever going to finish, yeah, I would like it to be that one. So hopefully I stick with it. I would hate to give up on it. Next WIP is my Bothy Rendale Bunny. This is the Grow Your Own. I asked for input from you guys to help me decide whether to start this one or an alternative design. This was the winner. It just narrowly beat the Brambles mouse. So yes, that is my bunny. It is a kit from Bothy, a Rendale kit from Bothy, so that is just being stitched on all the kit materials. And this is the last WIP I have to show you today, which is my Albaticore sampler. I think it's called Springtime Love, but in Italian, so like Primavera d'Amore, I think. But how beautiful is this? I love this. I have not picked it up for quite a while. You can see this is on a 17-inch Q-snap. It is pretty big. Like if you can see that just about, like there's not much margin in my fabric. So this fabric is pretty much that size, like there's a few extra inches in my fabric's probably like about 20 by 20 inches, and within the margin of this 17-inch frame it will all be stitched with this beautiful pair of houses in the middle, and there will be loads of love themed like pairs of animals around it. I think there's cows, birds, yes, lots of like cute little love imagery all around this, and it will end up being a big square. I started this and I haven't actually put that many hours into it, and it's stitched up very quickly. When I first started working on it, it's very pleasant to work on. It is charted beautifully and clearly, and it's just so fun to stitch on. It's lovely. I do need to pick this up again. I think what it is like I said, for me, this is too many WIPs. Like it has crept up and crept up. I didn't mean for it to happen. Yeah, I think the reason I've just not been picking this up as much as I would like to is just because I have too many WIPs on the go. I know everyone is comfortable with a different number of WIPs on the go at once. I think my sweet spot, my number that I like, is around a dozen. Like 12 is a good number for me. At the moment I'm over 20, I think I'm on 22, and I've still got quite a few more that are going to have to be started fairly soon if I want to keep up with my WIPGO goals, because I've got a lot of new starts on that WIPGO board and it's just too many. So yeah, too many WIPs, too many dogs barking again at something else. This is like the disaster filming episode, it really is. Be quiet! Please be quiet. Right, so that is all my WIPs. I hope that you have enjoyed just seeing them all in one video, in one place. I appreciate that I've not shown the completed, what they will all look like. But if you are a subscriber and have seen my previous videos, you may well already, know which ones they are, because in my normal videos, when I'm showing them as WIPs that I've worked on, I do show what they will look like finished. So with all of my actual WIPs out of the way, I wanted to talk about a new start that I'll be starting really soon, as if I need more WIPs, but it is going to be the 9 jars SAL. I'm not going to dwell on this and talk about it loads. This is just kind of checking in and reminding you that the 9 jar SAL that I am hosting will be starting on the 1st of July. I will really quickly again show you the 2 patterns that you can choose from. They are both Susan Bates patterns, available on her Etsy. So there's the Christmas festive jar option, which is what I will be stitching, which is why we're doing a July start, because it is Jolly July. I thought that the festive one would be perfect, and also I've already stitched the other one, so it wouldn't make much sense for me to stitch that one again. But if you're not feeling festive, you're not feeling Christmassy, or you just don't like stitching Christmas stuff or whatever, like if you prefer the Summer Memories design, like go for it, do that one. But these are the 2 patterns that you can choose between. This is the schedule, so we will be starting 1st of July, and this will be kind of the plan that we try and stick to. Now, I cannot stress enough that although it is a SAL, it does not matter if you don't keep up. If you love one of these 2 patterns and you just want to join in, start with us. There's quite a lot of people that have said they're starting, they are going to join in the SAL, which is great. I'm so happy that so many of you want to stitch this with me. Yeah, we're starting on the 1st of July. If you fall behind, life gets in the way, it doesn't matter. Everyone will finish it at some point. Hopefully kind of the dates for the plan for the SAL will just inspire you and motivate you to keep up with stitching on it. But if you don't, and it ends up on your WIP pile to be finished another time, that's fine. There's no pressure to actually keep up. If you are going to start stitching this and you are on Instagram, then please do use the hashtag 9jarsal. I will be following the hashtag. And if you are hashtagging with the 9jarsal hashtag, I will take that as permission to be able to share your progress as well. So I'm hoping that once the SAL gets underway in my upcoming Flosstubes, I won't just share my progress on the SAL, but I will share your progress as well. So yeah, if you're using that hashtag, I will take that as your consent to be able to share your pictures as well. So if you don't want me to share your pictures, then don't use the hashtag, or maybe like use 9jarsal, but just don't actually hashtag in front of it, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm really excited that so many of you have said that you're going to be joining in. Cannot wait to stitch this all with you, and I will do a reminder on my Instagram. It's still 2 weeks away, so if you've not planned to join in, you've still got time. You've still got 2 weeks to kit up. Yes, so very exciting. Barking again, oh my gosh. Honestly, if you are still watching this and still with me, you are a saint, because this has just been a disaster of a filming day today. I'm persevering, we're going to get to the end, we're going to do haul, but just all this stopping and starting, mostly because of my dogs. I've had a couple of technical malfunctions today, but the majority is just my dogs being really noisy, and I think the conclusion is I just can't film in this room. I'm in the garden room, and I moved into here because I thought, why am I filming in the front room, which is one of the darkest rooms in our house, when this room is beautiful natural lighting. Don't even need any other lights, and it's just so nice, and hopefully you can see my stitching really well. But the problem is, except the dogs can see me, and they can see me, and I don't know, they wonder what I'm doing, and then they're just being more barky than usual. Anyway, we have finished the stitching, we have covered the SAL that's about to start. Please join in. We are now just going to finish up with my haul, and then I'm pretty much done. So for haul, really quickly, I have not bought this particular month, but I have only just got round to using it. This is a box off Amazon. I'm just going to turn it over really carefully. And I have been organising all my beads into it, and I just think it is absolutely amazing. Look at that. It is wonderful. It came with these stickers, so I have been, sorry about the glare, I have been able to sticker with the Mill Hill codes for each set of beads on top, and it's basically one large box filled with loads of what can only be described as small Tic Tac containers. That's what they look like. They look like Tic Tac boxes. And what I have done is all the beads that I have got that are not assigned to a specific project, I have emptied from their Mill Hill packets into these instead. This tiny little box, and you can see it's not very big. If you look compared to my hands, it's not too big. I think there's 64 containers in this, so you can keep 64 different types of beads. We'll put the Amazon link to it, but yes, like I said, I've not bought it this month, but I've not shown it to you before, and I've only just started to use it, so I thought that you would like to have a look at that. Yeah, all my beads that are not assigned to a specific project are now in there, which is much better. I then have this lovely chart, and this is a Lucie Heaton chart, and isn't it amazing? It's a Christmas stocking, and it's a fishing polar bear, and then underneath are all the sea creatures, and there's presents and there's candy canes, and I just thought this was the most amazing stocking design. It's one of my favourites that I have ever seen. I can't remember where I saw it, but I saw it somewhere, probably on Instagram or something, I'm not sure. But it's from Cross Stitch Crazy magazine, but that's as far as I could get with working out where it was from, and I couldn't work out the issue number or anything like that. I couldn't find that out, and I ended up buying the single pattern from somebody on eBay that has pulled it out of the magazine. And that is not something I typically like doing. Like, I prefer to find out which magazine a pattern is from, and then I can just buy the whole issue, like as a download if it's a back issue, because most of them are available as downloads. So if it's one I don't have, I'll either try and buy the entire magazine secondhand, or I'll just download the magazine. But I just couldn't find out which issue this was from, and obviously with it being from Cross Stitch Crazy, which is a discontinued magazine, it's a bit more tricky to get hold of the back issues, and I couldn't contact Cross Stitch Crazy themselves to ask which issue it was featured in, because obviously they don't exist anymore. So yeah, I went ahead and bought it on eBay as a single pattern, but I love that. Some other patterns, which I'm just gonna pull out of this envelope. Got a few patterns here by Just None. I'm sorry about the slight bit of glare, but this is a really nice winter Christmassy pattern. It is called Icy Hill, and it says, "Once upon an icy hill we all fell down while standing still," and it's all snowmen. I just think that is lovely, and that came with all the little beads. I'm not sure if these are current or discontinued. I've never really seen any of these particular designs before, so I think they may be just discontinued, and this was someone's destash on eBay, so I got that one. And all of them come with a little embellishment. Sorry, I don't know if I mentioned that. So this Icy Hill does have certain embellishments inside, I think beads and possibly a little charm, and you can hear them. Like, they are all inside there as well, which is fantastic. Then I got Lily Pond. Again, these are all by Just None. This Lily Pond design, again, it comes with the embellishments. I got From the Heart. And I got Amethyst Snowflake, which is absolutely beautiful. Oh, my hands are shaking trying to get that close to the camera. Yes, so those are 4 beautiful patterns that I acquired in a D-stash, and the lady also sent me these, which all say Just Nan on them, but they're just like cards, like and they're nice quality, but they're just like all pink bits of card. One is called Amongst the Roses, one is called Spring Peppers, My Fair Ladybug, and Beehive Violets. And I honestly don't know what these are. Like, I have never seen a pattern just come on a card like this with no like there's no preview, you know, you can't actually see what the finished article looks like. I might have to Google them, but yeah, it's literally just the patterns, so I'll have to Google those and see what they actually look like. But yeah, lovely. Always nice to get something like extra included. Also grabbed this stocking on eBay, which is a dimension stocking, but I believe this is discontinued. Pretty sure this is a discontinued design, this tall hat snowman. But I love it. I've been keeping my eyes open for it, and one popped up on an eBay auction, and nobody else bid on it. Clearly people are not preparing for Jolly July, but I was, so I was lucky to be able to grab that. Next is the latest issue of The World of Cross Stitching, which I'm not going to flick through because this video is long enough. So yes, magazine, which came with a little freebie teddy bear kit this month for Popcorn, the teddy bear. And the last piece of haul I've got to show you is the Caterpillar Club Box. This is the number 7 Shine Bright box. And I have to say, like, in the interest of being completely honest, this is my first ever purchase from, like, physical purchase from Caterpillar Cross Stitch. I've only ever made one other purchase, which was the just the chart only for the, like, hang the stockings like Christmas piece that was a sal. I'm sure that a lot of you have seen it. It's lovely. It's got all the words for, like, you know, decorate the tree, hang stockings, like something about gingerbread, I think. I've got that pattern. I did actually start stitching it at one point, having done a colour conversion to do it in silk threads, and then realised I'd messed up on my thread quantities. I wasn't going to have enough in one of the colours, and yeah, I just frogged it and haven't restarted it. But anyway, I digress. So yes, this is my first ever physical purchase from Caterpillar Cross Stitch, and I was very excited when it arrived. Like, the little sleeve that they put on the box is super cute, like, it's lovely. And you know, Caterpillar Cross Stitch, their marketing is always completely on point. Yeah, everything about their marketing is very appealing. However, not loving my box. I hate to say it, I am disappointed. I don't know whether it's because it's just a bit too simple for me, but I mean, when I open this, and this is the kit, and it is a tiny Modernist design. So the Caterpillar Club boxes, and they have like different guest designers that design, and the reason I ordered this box was specifically because it was advertised as a tiny Modernist box. Now, when I think of tiny Modernist, I think of the beautiful finish that I have shown you today. You know, my finished summer signs piece, the band samplers that I'm about to start. Like, literally, if you go onto Tiny Modernist on Instagram and just scroll down the Instagram feed, everything is beautiful, everything is gorgeous. It's all a very specific style, and I love it. I love Tiny Modernist. That is what made me order this box, and just looking at this, it just kind of leaves me cold, in all honesty. And I hate to say it because I love Tiny Modernist as a designer. Do you know, I don't know, this just looks blocky to me, and for me, like, Tiny Modernist designs usually manage to be really simple, really easy to stitch, just full cross stitches, little if no back stitch, and yet they still manage to be, like, detailed. I hope that makes sense. Like, to me, that's what a Tiny Modernist pattern is, and I keep referring back to it, but obviously I've only just finished it. The summer signs piece I've just done is exactly that. It is all full crosses, apart from like a couple of lines of backstitch that are super easy, just for like the rays of the sunshine. But yeah, they're literally full crosses, and yet everything manages to be detailed. The little crab is really detailed. The seahorses are beautiful, like everything's lovely, even though it's simple. And I just find this to be too blocky for my liking, unfortunately. I also don't really understand what just this huge red band is in the sky. Like, yeah, it's just too blocky. Like the boats look blocky, the bird looks blocky. I don't want to keep going on and being negative, but I just don't love it. And I just think for £25, you know, you do get a couple of other little bits in the box. I got this stick of rock and a little coaster, which is very cute and obviously depicts the same design that is on the cross stitch. And there is a little candle in here, like an unscented candle. It doesn't smell of anything, but I think it's shaped like a shell. I've not even properly opened the candle yet. I think for me, this is not a £25 kit, and that therein lies the disappointment for me personally. I hope that if you have got this box, that you love it and that you're happy with it. Maybe it was just my mistake to order it, because Caterpillar cross stitch are known for their like simplistic designs, you know, they're very good at them. I just got excited that it was a tiny Modernist box specifically, and to me this just doesn't scream tiny Modernist. It doesn't fit with what I usually expect to see from that designer. I don't know, it just seems like oversimplistic as to what I was expecting. Yeah, so I won't dwell on that, but I think it's important to be honest. I think it's important to be honest when you make a purchase that you're really excited about, but also when you're not. And I was disappointed with that. You know, it was a mystery box, so it is always a risk as to what you're going to get. I think I will not purchase any more mystery boxes from anywhere. Like I said, for me, if I'm, you know, spending a certain amount of money on a kit, I want to make sure, I think, that it's going to be something that I really am going to enjoy stitching. I'm not even sure if I am going to actually stitch that, because it's, you know, the time that it takes to stitch something, you know, life is too short. If you don't love it, then there isn't time to spend stitching it, so we will see. I'm not sure what I will do with that. Anyway, that is everything from me. I just wanted to do one last shout out, and that is for a recently discovered Flosstube channel. So new to me, not new, but new to me, and that is Lindsay at Blushing Pink Stitches. Hello Lindsay, if you're watching, I have been catching up on Lindsay's videos from episode 1. I think so far I am up to around episode 6, and I think there's like 13 or 14. I could be wrong, I could have made that up, but I know that I'm on about number 6 and really enjoying it. Lindsay stitches some lovely, beautiful pieces, and she is a fellow UK floss tuber, and I'm really enjoying her videos. So yes, I just want to make an effort to shout out some other floss tubers. Like I said, I always intend to do a couple of shout outs and mention people that I've enjoyed watching, and I often just completely forget by the end of my video because I'm rubbish, like my memory's rubbish. So yes, that is my Flosstube shout out for this episode. I hope you have enjoyed. Thank you so much for persevering if you have got to the end of this video. I know that it's probably going to be a bit disjointed when I've edited it, because I've had to stop and start so many more times than usual. It's been a nightmare, but glad I got to the end of it. Relax. I hope that you all have a wonderful couple of weeks until I speak to you again. Take care, happy stitching, and I will see you at the very, very end of June, or possibly the 1st of July, and we will be starting the 9 Jars Sal. Take care everyone, bye! Right, I've just said my goodbyes to you all, and like I said, I always forget something. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if all the stuff is piled next to me. I always forget something in every floss tube, and I always just think, oh, I'll leave it and I'll do it next time. But no, there is a tiny bit more haul, and I have to show you because it was from Gina, who I mentioned at the beginning of the video. So, really quickly, I bought these 2 kits off Gina this month, and there's this gorgeous stitch here. I think this is a Letistitch. Oh no, Luca-S, but I think Luca-S and Letty are manufactured by the same people. I think, I could be wrong, but I'm sure I've heard that from somewhere. So I bought this lovely winter bird table kit from Gina. and also this gorgeous fairy kit, again from Gina. And then this is a little bit of stitchy kindness that I wanted to thank Gina for earlier and to show you. So this is a biscornu pattern called a Lunar biscornu, and this is a Joan Elliott piece. I actually also bought a Joan Elliott pattern from Gina with that bundle, and I've forgotten to grab it, and I'm not filming again. Like, I've already packed away all my equipment, I've said goodbye to you, and I had to show you this because I had mentioned it already. And like I said, I always manage to forget something. I'm hopeless. But yes, I will just finish on that note again. Goodbye to you all for a second time, and thank you very much to Gina for this lovely little pattern that she included with my purchase. Thank you, Gina, and goodbye everyone for a second time. Gosh, I hope my next one films more smoothly than this. This has been terrible. Goodbye everyone.